is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service, moving forward.
Hi, this is Kerwin Gaines, and welcome back to The Agenda. We appreciate you tuning in every week. We are excited that you're here. And as promised, this season we've been coming back with some Power Pack guests. Nothing like you've seen before, topics that you haven't heard before, topics that are 100% related to you, and how they are affecting you and your families. We promised that as being on the agenda, that your issues were on the agenda. So when it comes down to work, when it comes down to not only work for you, but work for your children, and the landscape of work here in the state of Delaware, and I'm talking about jobs, people. I'm talking about what pays the bills. There's no better person, I think, than the Secretary of Labor, Ms. Karryl Hubbard, here today. But she didn't come alone. She brought a great person, and I've messed up her name twice, Miss Bonita Egerson, here from the Department of Labor as well, to talk about some great programs that are going on. And we're excited to talk to them. Ladies, welcome to the show. We appreciate it. Secretary Hubbard, this isn't your first time here.
No, I always enjoy an opportunity to come and have a conversation about workforce.
Yes, absolutely. And we love it that you do it here on DETV. I've seen you here. I know you've been on the agenda once before. Yes. So we're excited to have you. And I want to talk about something right off the gate because I'm a parent of teenagers. And I'm tired of them eating everything in my home. I'm tired. I love my children, and we all love our children, and we're supposed to, but over the summer, they got to do something.
They should. Yes.
They should. Don't you agree? They should. They should, especially
Yes.
if they're of working age.
Correct.
So, I'm excited that I have the labor folks here. And I don't care if they're education and training or workforce development. I don't care. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I know that a lot of our viewers feel the same way. And I would love to talk about that as well. But I want to talk about some things that are topical as well this week and that have been going on. And we had a little conversation with the state auditor when she was here and was talking about where the employment insurance funding and accountability of those funds and where that stands. I think it would do justice for all of our viewers here in the state, up and down the state, having the Secretary of Labor here. I think it would be remiss if I didn't ask the status of that and where we currently are.
Sure, absolutely. Clearly an audit finding was problematic, but I will say that we have a trust fund that is fully funded and is accounted for in an account. What is problematic is the back of the house, the debits and credits going in. Because our system is antiquated, our mainframe system was built in the mid-'80s. So we're working with old technology. During the pandemic, we were slammed with claims that were never anticipated to handle that volume. So over the time, over the pandemic, we lost a lot of staff. People couldn't work from home because we had an old system that was not amenable to that.
I did not know that part.
Yeah, we lost a number of staff, long-term staff. So when they walked out the door, a lot of that knowledge transfer walked out the door as well. We had some policies, processes, and procedures that were not up to date and antiquated. So we ended up in a situation where we were really starting from ground zero. And so, but we do have a trust fund. The funds are safe. They're segregated in a separate account. And it's the back of the house, the paperwork, the debits and credits going in and out that we couldn't reconcile to the total amount of the fund. So that's where we are now. We've brought in an accounting firm, BDO. They're working with us very closely to reconcile the books so that we can go into 2024 with, back on track and accountable for all of the dollars that we have in the fund.
Great. So I think most folks love to hear that word accountability. I've learned in managing people for 20 some years now that problems are going to occur, especially if it's a problem with a database, if it's a problem with anything technical, a problem's going to occur, but it's how we rebound and how we deal with that and how we take accountability for the actions that are there. So from, as you know, I've been in cyber for some time. My question is, we had a system in place that failed. What have we done to correct that system? I hear the fact that we've brought in another firm to help out, which is awesome. But what about that accounting software? Is that being updated? Are we assuring that it can handle the loads? God forbid we have another pandemic-like event. Yeah. But if something were to occur, are we in a better place or prepared?
Absolutely. The administration has invested upwards of $60 million into fixing our automated system. We're under contract with a partner called Infosys, a very well-known, very well-respected firm that's in the unemployment insurance space. And we are at the early stages of our project, but we are working hard and anticipate an implementation in 2026 of a new system that will have all of the updated security, bells and whistles, internal controls that are needed to ensure that the dollars coming in and coming out are accounted for.
Oh, that's awesome. So I'm glad that we're in a better place as a Delawarean. Thank goodness I'm not at a place where I need to execute any of the funds that have been allotted for me in regards to unemployment. But if it was ever that case, I'm comfortable that they would be there and that oversight is there as well. Thank you for briefing us on that and bringing us up to speed. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about, as I was talking about before, the youth. I love the National Youth Apprentice Program that's going on here. But you have parents, as you talk about this program right now, that have gone to their kitchen and have gotten a piece of paper and a pen, and they are ready to hear what you have to say in regards to this and what we're going to do with these children.
Well, right now, this week, we're recognizing Youth Apprenticeship Week. And really, it's just sort of the recognition that a college education is a wonderful thing, but there are multiple paths to success. Military, entrepreneurship, but certainly apprenticeship is something that youth should consider as well. Apprenticeships, particularly those in the skilled trades, enable someone to start out at an over minimum wage, but progress over the years that they're in their apprenticeship and come out with a very good job at the end of their training as a journey person. Most journey persons can either hang out their own shingle, work for the union, or work for a company, and many of them do that. So it's yet another path to success and family-sustaining wages that we think people need to consider more as this time of year when students are choosing college or a career.
Making some hard decisions, students do. I think this is what I talked about with another guest that was on about trajectory. This is one of the trajectory points of their lives where they have to make a decision of where they're going to go, and that trajectory will fall or cause them to make subsequent decisions for and so on and so forth, more of a domino effect. But I think it's important, very important, that we know that and make it clear that a journeyman job, a job involving a skill set or trade, as we used to call them, is not a job that's going to pay less than possibly a college job. Okay, it's not a job that's, well, I'm not going to be able to live in the home that I'm dreamt about and whatever. You can make a suitable wage doing this and doing it well, more so than some college careers. Not all college careers, but some college careers, and have the longevity of something that is, if I had to do it again, more than likely there would be some sort of HVAC in my world, because I have news for you. I'm not scared of many people, but when the HVAC van pulls up in my house, I am afraid, because I know the numbers that are going to come out of that. And if I own that van and if I own that skill set, that money's going directly to them. And I just see it as, I don't want to get off on a rant here, but I can just see it as a stronger pathway to entrepreneurship in communities where that's just not a possibility, right? So I see that as a very strong pathway to entrepreneurship. I hope that the students and the parents that are watching that, I'm behind this 100%.
Well, we appreciate that. We want to let people know there are options. You know, we've got certificates that we help fund individuals who are interested in certain careers. You know, we've got training dollars that we have. Our state has a number of options, the SEED program, Aspire, SEED Plus, where individuals can take college credits. You know,
with
and
Deltec and University of Delaware?
Deltec, Delaware State. The SEED program helps. They start at Deltec, but they transition ultimately to the University of Delaware. So there are many, many options, and we, you know, are hoping that students are connecting with their school counselors who are very aware of the array of options that are out there. I would just encourage parents to have conversations with their child before they just plunk down the thousands of dollars that it takes for college. Have that conversation, do a little bit of career exploration. That's something that can be done through summer jobs, you know, as you mentioned. You know, we have, our department manages the work permits for students. A lot of them are done at school, but they can also be done at our location in our American Job Centers, where we help students 14 and up, between 14 and 18, get certified for work so they can have a summer job or a job during the school year. There are limits in the number of hours that some students can work while they're in school, but all those guidelines and rules are outlined in the work permit process that we have.
So the great programs like this, I have found that sometimes they are being missed by students, right? I heard you say that there's counselors. Be sure that you're with your counselor. Be sure that you're going through with all these other things. But how are we ensuring that great programs like this are not just a pamphlet left on the shelf in the guidance counselor office, right? How are we ensuring that we're reaching out to these schools, high schools, I think mostly, maybe some middle schools, depending upon their age, and this information is getting to them as well as their parents, and we're just not depending solely, not saying there's anything wrong with school counselors, they are great. I'm the product of a school counselor, so I understand that they are great. But I also know that they are overwhelmed in all of the programs that, I mean, it's like drinking from the fire hose sometimes this time of year in regards to everything. Again, not to be redundant, how are we ensuring that that's getting to them?
So there are a number of ways. All of the high schools, I believe, currently have a JDG program.
Yes, Job for Delaware Graduates.
Jobs for Delaware Graduates. I was in one of the first classes in Jobs for Delaware Graduates. There are also community organizations that help students navigate this process. We have what is called the Career Compass, which is a pamphlet that not only describes emerging careers and how much income or how much these salaries are in these careers, but it also does assessments to help students learn and understand how that works. If they go to our website in the Office of Occupational Labor Market Information, our website has what's called CRN, which is a career exploration tab, where students and parents can go on and see videos, get information about jobs that are available, and just to help students make informed decisions.
So is this like a Myers-Briggs personality test that we can give our kids to figure out where they are, or is there just something more that aligns them with their careers?
I think it's interest-based and skills-based, sort of assessing, you know, where, you know, realistically what is involved in the job. I mean, you may want to be a roofer, but, you know, if you don't like the heat, that's probably not something.
Probably not the job for you.
Right, exactly. So it sort of explains the pitfalls and the pros and cons of a career, the salaries involved, more information about where you can learn more about the job you're looking for. So, you know, I see that as a wealth of information for students. And, you know, reaching out to us at the Department of Labor through JobLink, which is joblink.delaware.gov. And, you know, we have, there's a place where you can indicate what you're looking for information on, and we will reach back out to you and let you know additional information about careers or anything related to employment and training.
We're going to talk about another thing. We talked about Job for Delaware Graduates. I was a member of that as well. Yeah. But we're also going to talk about Wilmington University. I'm an alumni there as well.
Yes.
So excited about Wilmington University. They're doing some things with the Department of Labor as well.
Absolutely, and this is new. We are working very closely with Wilmington University so that individuals who do decide to go into a skilled trade, there's also the ability to earn college credit.
Oh, I love that.
So sometimes it's not an either or, right?
Right.
Here you have an opportunity to do both, and we're very excited to be partnering with them on this venture.
So, I mean, I look at that, the amount of, I guess you would call it business acumen that's necessary in order to be a small business. A lot of these folks are going out working for small businesses in the area that are in a trained skill. I mean, that has to be transferable somehow in college. Like that amount of information needs to go back and forth. Not only is that an asset to the owner of that company, right, but it is also an asset to the employee itself.
Yes.
So developing that synergy, I think, is awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're very excited about this opportunity for students, current workers, anyone who currently has who is a journey person or who is going through an apprenticeship can use those credits, use that experience toward credits at Wilmington University.
And we don't want to think of this as a parachute, right? This isn't a if things don't go well, you still have college credits. We don't want to think of it that way. I'm assuming I would rather think of it as just something else in your arsenal in regards to being a marketable candidate to whichever organization you decide to go with.
Yes.
Is that fair?
That's a great way to say it.
Yep.
You can have that. I'll give that to the Department of Labor for free.
Thank you.
Yes. Another guest came on last season and talked in great detail about the reentry programs here in the state. We've actually had 2 guests to come on and talk about this. I think it is of great importance. Mm-hmm. I know a little bit about criminal justice. Mm-hmm. I've studied it a great deal. And I know that the level of recidivism, and not just in our community, but throughout the country, there's a strong correlation measure between employment, gainful employment, and recidivism. So determining whether or not someone is going back to jail or prison or being in the system yet again and not being able to matriculate out of the system due to probation and parole is dependent upon jobs. Now, we have a problem in the United States, but a problem that both parties, believe it or not, and we don't find that often here on the agenda where our 2-party system actually agree on an issue, but they do, and that is reentry. Because of, correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am, our country is in somewhat of a workforce shortage. So at this point, building barriers for people not to be able to work is detrimental not only to our country, but to our standing in our global economy. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
So tell me a little bit about the reentry program that you're working with.
All right. Bonita, I'll hand that off to you as our subject
Oh,
matter
it's the
expert.
handoff.
So there are several different things that we offer or that we can help with at the Department of Labor, the Employment and Training Office. The one thing that they just started out doing is this, it's called the Roadmap to Reentry for Employment. So what the staff did, and along, not just our staff, it was other agencies as well, DOC and a couple others, they got together and they came up with this handy dandy little pamphlet here, which will help a person who's going through any issues with coming back out and trying to find a job. It also gives them resources where they can go for like housing. So it's a lot of information in here, but it starts off really easy by giving them checklists. What should I do first? Mm-hmm. How should I go about doing that? And where do I need to go? And it gives them those roadmaps. It's just like a handy dandy little process for them to go through. Once you read it, you know that you should be successful because it doesn't just talk about this is how you do this, but it gives them tips and pointers. How do you answer a question that someone asks you when you're filling out a job application and it actually says on there, tell me if you have any charges. Mm-hmm. Don't write on there,
See attached.
Yes. Don't write that. Write exactly what your charges are.
Right.
Because that employer, if you write see attached, that employer is just probably going to throw your application away. Write what it is. And so that way that gives them the opportunity to read that information. And it also gives you the opportunity to be able to explain that information when you have an interview with them. But it also goes through all kinds of different things for them as far as housing, how to get the first thing that you may not have is like your ID or driver's license. So how do I go about getting that? Mm-hmm. And this book will help them go through that. The other thing that we do at the Department of Labor, the Employment and Training Office, we're responsible for the APEX program, which is advancements through pardons and expungements, where we can help an individual either get a pardon or have their record expunged, which then also helps with employment. So there's a lot of different things that's available for those individuals who are coming out. They can come into any of the American Job Centers that we have throughout the state. We have 4, 1 in each county. And there's always someone in that AJC or American Job Center to assist them when they come in. So don't be afraid to come in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. The staff are willing to sit down. They're willing to help you to register in Delaware Job Link, where we get a little bit of information and their background, but it also helps them with developing a resume. When we have a person register in Delaware Job Link, it actually helps them to create that resume. So it gives them that foundation there. And then from there, you can always look for work. We can show them how to do a job search. They have access to everything within the department, which is free of charge, from making copies to sending faxes to actually sitting one-on-one with a staff person to help them answer questions, how to do mock interviews with them, and anything that's work-related. That's what we do.
I love it. Secretary Hubbard, I know that you do too. But it goes back to my question again. How are we getting these services, these essential services? So I consider this as essential as food or what have you in regards to care from folks. Because if they don't have this, they don't have that guidance, their rate of success lowers dramatically.
Correct.
So are we working with, and I'm going to put the Department of Corrections on note here. Are we working directly with the Department of Corrections in regards to their transition programs that they've already have isolated? Hashtag DOC on this broadcast as well, so they can post any information that they have in regards to this. What are the synergies that we're currently using right now to ensure that soon to be released inmates released inmates are getting this information? And the second part to this question, ma'am, is what are they doing to track this, right? So we're just not giving them this information, but what are we doing to ensure that the released person is getting some sort of credit for going through this, following the steps, working with the Department of Labor, and querying the databases that you have for jobs that they would deem acceptable?
Well, let's start off by saying we do work with DOC. We actually go into all of the probation and parole centers. We have our staffs go into the lobbies during, I'd say it's 2 times out of the month, because we want to not just connect with the individuals that we connected with the first time, but we want to connect with each and every one of those individuals that come through that probation and parole office. So we have tables that we set up along with other agencies, and we're there to provide them with all of the information and details about our services. What we're working on is even having what's called a short registration, so that while we're at those locations, we can get those individuals' names, telephone number, and email addresses, so we would be able to go back out and recontact them at a later date. just to give them that information, and so it can be like a warm handoff from the person that met them at the probation and parole office to the staff that are at the AJCs.
Great. So is this information, may I have this book for just 1 second? I want to get one more shot of it here. Is this information readily available? And I believe you said online, right?
We do have it online. This is hot off the presses.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So
Yep,
this
brand
is
new.
We're
this is
debuting
brand
it
new.
here on the agenda.
We've sent it out to a few groups, but yes, this is the first public announcement about the reentry pamphlet, and it is a work that was created by a multi-agency group, including probation, parole, correction, us. I mean, we have worked very closely during this administration. We've got a group called the DCRC. We meet monthly to talk about how we can better work together. It includes substance abuse, mental health, education, Department of Labor, correction. We've worked with correction. They have purchased a simulator behind the walls that individuals seeking CDL training can take that training behind the walls. And then the Department of Labor picks up the cost of that training once they transition back to the community. And we've had several successful stories of individuals getting very, well-paying jobs over the road.
Absolutely. And I think that you and I've talked about it. I have my CDLs myself. They are a great thing to have, especially if everything else goes off the rails. Well, at least I can drive this truck. We can keep the lights on, one way or another. And not everybody has that option, right? Not everybody has fallback. Some people are starting from scratch. And that's where I kind of want to go with this question. And this is directed towards you, Secretary Hubbard, and to you too, Ms. Egerson, that there are people that are watching this show, more than likely family members of folks that are dealing with reentry, may forward this show on to them because they're sitting at their kitchen table or sitting on their couches at home and they're discouraged. They are flat out discouraged. I've done my time. I've paid my debt to the society. And remember, some of these folks may or may not be guilty of the charges that they've actually had to. I mean, let's just be honest. Our penal system is not perfect, right? Our justice system has flaws. So they've gone through, they have done their time for these things. And now as they're going through the reentry process, it comes to employment because they understand that is, especially if they're on a parole type of situation, it is essential for them to obtain employment in order to maintain the requirements of their parole or their probation. What advice, as leaders in the Department of Labor, as leaders in, state officials, frankly, would you give to them?
So I would say there is help, there is hope for individuals who find themselves in this situation. We know that this is a unique opportunity in my lifetime where there are more jobs available than there are people looking for work. So I think we have to rethink what we deem a good potential candidate. And I think employers are doing that. I think they are reaching out and reconsidering those individuals that they may have passed by before. And, one thing that I would want to emphasize is that in addition to working on the individual who's justice involved side, we also are trying to encourage employers to look at benefits for them to take a chance on an individual. We have, through the federal government, a bonding program that will bond up to $20,000 an individual who goes to work for a certain employer, up to $20,000 should there be some theft or some issue with the employer. And so that is a way to try to encourage people to actually take a chance on someone. There are also work opportunity tax credits that employers can use to incentivize them to hire somebody who they may not have hired in the past. So I encourage employers to reach out to our business service representatives to hear more about benefits that are that would inure to them if they are willing to take a chance on someone.
Ms. Egerson, your encouragement?
My encouragement would be, I would tell a person, don't be discouraged. Job searching is not an easy thing, but we're here to help you. That's what we're here for. Come into the offices, sit down with the staff, get your resume together, do some mock interviews. We'll tell you what to say so that it doesn't seem like I know it's not an easy task, but it's a task that you can accomplish and be successful in what we do and what you do, getting a job. Our ultimate goal is to make sure that that person that we touch is successful. So if it's that you come into our office and we help you with your resume, help you do a mock interview, and you get a job, or you come into our office and you're interested in going back to school to get a certificate or a degree, and we put you through that training and then help you get a job. Either way, the ultimate goal is for you to be successful in what you want to do.
I love it.
And I would just add, we have successes all the time. People who reenter, do well in their careers. I've heard a number of them talk about, focusing on their why. Is it that they now can support their child the way they've wanted to support them, or provide them, the education that they wanted for them, or, help out family members, or whatever it is that drives them to do better and to move forward in their lives. And that's what we're about. We're about providing skills and providing upskills. So, and people should think about their career as a path, not just a stop, because most of us change jobs. I think on average, there's about, this is kind of dated, but people change jobs about 14 times through their career. So, if one thing doesn't work out, doesn't mean that it's the end. Come back. Our services will always be there. They can come retool, re-talked with one of our counselors and be encouraged again.
I love it. Man, use this one more time.
Sure.
Take advantage of the resources that are out there for those that are re-entering into the workforce for whatever your reason is. Your judgment is over. We are now looking forward to what you have to bring to the state. We look forward to them paying taxes and being an active member in society and doing a great thing. So working with the Department of Labor and knowing them for quite some time now, I will say that they will match your energy, right? So if you work hard, they will work hard. They're going to work hard regardless for you, but they love active participants in the process. Yes. And your success story is their success story, right? So let's take advantage of all the great benefits that are out there. And if you need something, ask for something. And you can even reach out here to the agenda and we can get you in contact with the person's department or what have you that's necessary in order to for you to be successful. Secretary Hubbard, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. I know it was difficult for everyone to be here today, and I appreciate everyone's patience. Thank you so much for joining it. I'm glad that we were able to reach out to the public and talk to them about some great things that are going on in the Department of Labor, and I hope that it will not be the last time.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We appreciate everything, and we'd like to thank you for tuning into the agenda this week. As always, it's been another great discussion. Reentry is a serious issue, and everyone is dealing with it in one way or another. And we want to ensure that everyone that is dealing with it knows where to get all the proper benefits and all the proper assistance. And this week, it's the Department of Labor here to tell you about everything that they can do for it. Let them be the champions in your corner. You can do this. Next week, look forward to seeing you again right here on the agenda.